everyone, my name is Rachel Shupak. I'm a TBI, and today we are going to be talking about tracking. The three goals of this video include your understanding of what is tracking, what are the four visual planes, and what strategies can I use when practicing tracking. In my previous video, I talked about what maintaining visual attention was and why it is essential for practicing tracking. Well, as a reminder, maintaining visual attention is when a child is able to focus and directly look at an object and keep their attention to that object. So how does that help with tracking? Well, tracking is the ability to follow an object. To test tracking, an object should be presented in one of the four quadrants along the visual plane. What are the visual planes? The visual planes include the direction that the object will move. The four planes include horizontal, vertical, diagonal, and a circle. So what are you looking for? Was the child able to not only focus on the object, but also follow the object in a certain direction? How long were they able to follow the object in that direction? And if the child did not track the object the entire direction, where did they stop? All this information is important because once you have figured out where the child maintains their visual attention best, you know the quadrant or their preferred side to begin tracking on. And by practicing tracking, the child will increase their visual skill that is important for everyday activities. Let's go over some materials you can use when practicing tracking with your child. So the first thing that you could use is shiny objects or metallic objects, such as a shiny pom-pom, some shiny streamers, shiny ribbon, or even a shiny metallic ball. You can also use objects that light up. I have a lit up snow globe, or even a lighted up necklace. And you can also use one of your child's favorite toys, such as beads or a ball. You could also use household objects, such as a fork or a spoon, which is shiny. You could use a toothbrush, or you could even use a washcloth. My recommendation: if the child has a favorite toy or object, or there was an object that they responded well to during the maintaining visual attention exercise, use it. It is better and more effective to use a familiar or favorite object over a novel or new object. So let's begin. First, grab an object, and you are going to determine your child's preferred field of vision or the preferred quadrant to start. For my child, we are going to start on their left preferred side in the lower left quadrant, and we are going to be working on horizontal tracking. Step 1, you have to maintain their visual attention first. Bring attention to the object. Now remember, we want to present the object about 3 to 6 inches away from the face, and you are going to do whatever you need to do to bring attention to that object. Whether that's shake the object, tap the object, or even illuminate the object with a flashlight. Once you have captured their attention and you see that their eyes have focused on that object, you are going to slowly start to move the object to the left or the right. In this case, I am moving it to the right side. To show you that again, have them focus on the object first. Once their attention is on the object, slowly start to move the object to the right or the left. If at any point you see that the child has stopped looking at the object and looked elsewhere, then begin again. So that means start at the beginning, have them focus on the object, and begin to track horizontally. When you're doing this exercise, keep note in your head of where your child is able to track to. Are they able to go to midline? Or are they able to go further? How long were they able to track that object for? Let's say that your child was able to track fully across from the left side to the right side. Once you have finished tracking all the way to the right, you can try to even bring it back the other way. So track from the right and continue moving the object if that's what you've been doing, and see if they can track it back to the left side where you started. Now, as I had mentioned, there are 4 planes where you can practice tracking. So we already worked on horizontal tracking, but you can also focus on vertical tracking. So if we were to start in the lower left quadrant of the eye, we could show the object down below and slowly start to rise it up. But again, remember, maintaining visual attention is important for the child to even attempt to begin tracking that object. So shake the object, wiggle the object, tap the object, illuminate the object, whatever you need to do until they have focused on the object. If you are going up, once you have maintained their attention, slowly move it up the vertical plane. If the child was able to fully track up the visual plane, then you can try going down and see if they are still able to maintain their visual attention and track the object back down. So that would look like maintain visual attention first. Once they have maintained visual attention, slowly start to move the object up the vertical plane, and then slowly start to move it back down the vertical plane. Again, you are looking to see if the child was able to track the object the entire plane, or at what point they stopped and they looked away. And how long were they able to track that object for? We have gone over horizontal tracking as well as vertical tracking. If you would like, you can also practice diagonal tracking. So you would start in their preferred quadrant and you would go in a diagonal pattern. If you wanted to do a circular plane, you would start in the preferred quadrant or preferred field of vision, and you would slowly move the object in a circular motion around their face. Here are some things to consider when you are practicing tracking with your child. You may notice that the child doesn't track past midline. If that happens, do not worry. This just means that they have to make their way up to it. Go as far as possible when you're tracking and continue to practice to promote development. Something else to consider is the speed of an object. You do not want to move an object too fast that the child loses view of the object. But you also don't want to move the object too slow that the child loses interest. Once you find a good speed, do not increase that speed of the object until the child is able to track that familiar path with that comfortable speed. It is also important to consider the lighting, the background, and the contrast of your environment. You want to make sure that the lighting of the room is not too bright. Preferably use a room that has some dim lighting and no outside lighting or glares interfere. The background environment should be as plain or simple as possible. Preferably no busy backgrounds like a patterned wallpaper. High contrast would include using objects that stick out or are a bold color and do not blend with the background or the surroundings where your child is. So what is the takeaway from this activity? Well, what did you observe? Was the child able to attend to a familiar object? Was the child able to track the object in a certain direction? For how long were they able to track an object in each direction? Did they track to or past midline? How can you incorporate tracking into daily life activities, such as mealtime, playtime, getting dressed, personal hygiene, or even bedtime? Let me know how your child does with this activity. I would love to hear your thoughts or even additional questions you may have. Next time, we will talk about shifting gaze, which also has a connection to tracking. See you soon!